Do you like hurting other people?
Heat Signature is a science fiction stealth action video game set in a nondescript star cluster where the gameplay consists of committing felonies and burglarizing every single military transport in the star system for cold hard cash. Many forces are vying for control of the galaxy, and caught right in the middle is a nameless band of outlaws who themselves have names. Freedom fighters for a new tomorrow, mercenaries with a score to settle, or just a petty thief seeking notoriety. All are considered drifters, and to the greater powers, all are just another insurgent to be dealt with. This isn't unwarranted, as each drifter you play will gradually build up a resume of violence, theft, and grand theft starcruiser. Accounting for that portfolio with 2 million of these, it only makes sense that the guards would rather throw your bleeding body into the nearest vacuum than risk holding you prisoner. Speaking of this, the game sounds great. Every weapon's impact is hefty and usually sounds brutal as all hell. Synthwave cyberpunk ambience combines with a blunt and to-the-point sound design to make the auditory experience of Heat Signature unabashedly cool. Graphically, it's pretty sleek, and nothing is hard on the eyes. While none of the enemies are winning any character design contests anytime soon, the game does well to differentiate guard types and abilities from each other. And believe me, you'll want to know. Speaking of knowing, you know what you know not? Much of the history of the galaxy you are in. There isn't an apparent larger story in the game beyond the snippets of lore you can find from NPCs at certain stations, but that is A-OK. The lack of an overarching plot makes the individual motivations, backgrounds, and developing histories of the characters you play much more of a focus. In a game where the heat of the moment is centered around the mission, this works very well. Now let's talk about gameplay, which will be a pluralist majority of this video. Every character you play will have the same two things in common. All of them will be hardened criminals in the eyes of the law, and all of them will be at the bar, nursing a life-diminishing alcoholism that haunts all who drink here. After picking a drifter and shaking off that post-inebriation dread that always encroaches when the whiskey is finished metabolizing, you will inherit their problems, proficiencies, and the chip on their shoulder that drives them to drown their sorrows in a seedy place like this. Very similar to real life, the goal is to fulfill your personal vendetta and then retire with a portfolio of cool shit that you did in your prime. On top of your particular character's bucket list, you are also charged with dismantling and driving out the powers that be through missions you obtain at your friendly neighborhood guerrilla insurrectionist starbase. Most of the time, you'll be informed on the jobs you take, but other factors adjust the level of surprise from nothing to a blind run-in with the horrors of privatized security. You'll likely know that there are lots of guards, or that they all pre-ordered Fallout 76, but what you couldn't possibly predict was that the first missile in this Warzone mission was going to immediately disintegrate the guy you were supposed to capture in one piece, rather than 200 scattered across light years. Heat Signature accommodates various styles of play, and each job can be done with any equipment or death toll in mind. A pacifist may opt to pickpocket and sneak their way through a ship, while an alpha male would go in guns blazing and throw subtlety out the window. If you ask me, you are neither of those things. You are a Sigma male, which means you're more intelligent, or rich, or just better, somehow I guess. You understand that the optimal play is to grind tangential wandering ships until you find one of the game's many unique items, such as an acid thrower powered by Chuck E. Cheese tokens, and proceed to ruthlessly immolate every beta guard that stands in your way. Each job has its own estimated difficulty, from easy to hard to audacious, and certain missions that you aren't meant to come back from. At least, not alive. The true difficulty of a mission lies in how prepared you are. A mission that seems relatively easy can be rendered an unfavorable escapade when you realize that you are without any tools to short electronics and the entire squad is packing force fields. Getting the correct gadgets can make your life easier, and in some cases, make it possible in the first place. To get the tools required for the job, you have to complete jobs first so that you can afford it. To get that paycheck, you have to get back from your mission alive, as contractors don't bind their agreements to a mangled space corpse. If you do continue to survive, you may eventually see yourself getting a leg up on the 4 factions that you style on throughout the game, but you'll need to adapt to their separate forms of defense if you wish to survive that long. Off-world security are the space police. Imagine stormtroopers but with more blue Gatorade and less brand recognition. They are the kindest faction you'll meet. Instead of shooting to kill like the more draconic forces in the game, Offworld opts to hit you with a space taser and allows space to space kill you instead. The Foundry is the industrialist faction. All missions involving them will be on some kind of a coal storage vessel. I can only assume that their ships run on coal because there is nothing else present, besides the armies of underpaid laborers donning standard template power armor. I can only presume that they have black lung from the immense amount of carbon that is probably released from powering the 19th century steam engine that I believe their ships run on. Sovereign are essentially off-world security, but scarier. If off-world is focused on tracking you down and disarming you, Sovereign is focused on tracking you down and adding a few more holes for ventilation. Their ships also assume a pinecone kind of shape, so as to better differentiate them from the iconic off-world Dorito. Lastly, the Glitchers are the hacker group. They dress exactly the way you think, and their ships are designed without proper geometric feng shui in mind, so you know they are barbarians. Most of their tech will focus around teleporting behind you and spouting one-liners before they execute you. Yankee o shinu junbi o suru. NANI? Phasing around with state-of-the-art teleportation technology isn't just your foe's game. Many devices and gadgets can be found and purchased as you open up some real estate in the galaxy, including slipstreams, which slap you into matrix bullet time to evade certain death, or increase your certainty of causing death. Crash beams, which deactivate electronics. Swappers, which let you put yourself in the enemy's footprints, literally. And subverters, which are just better crash beams. I mean, really, why shut down a turret when you can turn it against a group of unwitting guards? Now that's what I call exploitation. Your equipment is essential to your survival, so it is important to dedicate a generous portion of your paycheck to your loadout. However, most of the things you can buy early game are, for lack of better terminology, lame as shit. Pocket knife that can't even break through carbon fiber? Whack. Single charge slipstream per mission? Get out of here! The really cool and effective cyberpunk paraphernalia you acquire will be looted from unrelated ships that you board in the name of metagaming, or found on a mission ship. That can also work. Take care of your business on enough ships, and you'll be able to liberate a station. Liberations are Heat Signature's version of leveling up, and your progressive warpath is the game's version of a perk tree. Each station gives you some kind of benefit upon liberating it, unless it doesn't. Some will unlock new and better equipment for you to buy in the shop so that you don't have to scavenge for it. Others will boost the rebel economy and make the process of acquiring funds a bit easier. You can even unlock new ships this way. Each liberated station also unlocks a unique defector mission for you to play, for that juicy extra content. They are usually challenging and help you think outside of the box, sometimes literally. If that isn't enough for you, there are also daily challenges which I really like, except that you are required to do them 7 days in a row if you want to 100% the game. Let's actually talk about the achievements real quick. I have mentioned them in my first 2 reviews because I am a virile warrior who indulges in the thrill of seeing that gallery hit 100. While I prefer to complete a game before reviewing it, this may not last forever, as some games can only be finished after Maslow's hierarchy of needs becomes more of a template, as they have play for 365 days straight type achievements, or some similar genre of bullfuckery. Heat Signature's achievements are really interesting though, because in pursuing some of them, you learn more about the game. For example, one instructs you to throw a capture target out a window. After attempting that for the first time just to get the achievement, I learned a lot about defenestration. Now, windows solve all my problems. No acid trap and surrounded by armored enemies? Window. Assassination target surrounded by guards but taking in the view? Window. Just need to escape? You know the story. This is what achievements should be. They should motivate you to brainstorm and figure out new ways to play the game and overall improve your experience. You shouldn't have to drag your nails on the fiberglass of repetition just to be told you did it. Heat Signature is a remarkable game, and it has mad replayability with gameplay fundamentals that only get better with time. I will say that the general variety in the game is a big part of its appeal. While there are more than a dozen mission types for you to undertake with a lot of different equipment to get you through, you'll eventually start to drag from outsmarting the same 4 contractors every other time. This is also just me, but I'd like to see more variety in the ship design. While the roguelike elements do a lot for the outline of the interior, things start to feel samey after the 50th Dorito or cargo freighter. Different contractors would be nice too. Faction-specific contractors would definitely spice things up and help further define the preparation you may need for the missions you go on. Besides those notes, the game kicks ass. You'll learn that little beats any percent speedrunning a robbery with 4 different kinds of teleporters, or acting out a Blade Runner meets John Wick roleplay through a ship's corridors. Plus, you have many of these to look forward to. Overall, Heat Signature is solid as hell. If you like tactical action games or just throwing yourself through windows like I do, you're in for a good time. On that note, farewell, and see you all next time.